Of course, some of the people that we encounter haven't gone away from their church. They haven't wandered off from their church at all. Mark, maybe you can tell us about one of those kind of lost sheep.
Okay. Yeah, I remember a guy who put in a request to the chaplain at the House of Corrections where I work at, and said he wanted to come and talk to the chaplain. Didn't have any specifics there, so I was able to call him down to the chapel, and he came in and sat down, and I said, well, what's on your mind? And he started to tell a little bit about his story and what he was struggling with. And he was struggling with this incarceration because it was his first time. And that's pretty rare to find the person on the first time. You see so many repeat guys down there, but this was his first time, and so he was struggling with the whole concept of where he had been and where he was now. He knew better than what he had done, and others in the jail knew that he knew better because of his background. And he was really struggling with that because of his background, and I'll tell you about that in a second, but his background, they were struggling with that background because, knowing that he knew better, they wanted to get him past, the guilt that he was feeling for being there, and they were saying to him a lot of times, it's like, God has a purpose for you to be here. God has a reason for you to be here. You've got this wonderful opportunity to share the gospel. You see, he was a minister. Mm. And he had embezzled money from his church. He was having some financial struggles, and he thought I could skim a little bit here or there. And he got caught and was sitting in jail now. And the other inmates got to know him and knew that he was a minister, and said, well, you have this wonderful opportunity to share the gospel here amongst us. You can, they were probably having some really good Bible studies and things with him, and yet he was uncomfortable with that thought at that time, because he said, I'm able to do something here, but the reason I'm here is because I did something wrong. And he really, he said, I have to own that. I can't be taken away from that. I've done something wrong. I've sinned. I broke the law, and that's why I'm here. And so I was like, well, what can I do for you? And he said, well, I just really need to confess and be forgiven of my sin and hear that. So I said, well, confess away. And he shared again what he did and confessed that before God and before me. And then the privilege of being able to share with him that God loves him, that God forgives him, that sin is paid for by the death of Jesus on the cross. And even though he had wandered away, God welcomes him back and now is taking what a mess of a situation that he made and is making something beautiful out of it for this time and then going forward. So it was a pretty unique experience for me to have somebody in that position sitting before me.